Welcome back, minions. Team Goodygood delves back into the Garlston mines to battle the enemies threatening Heronshire. One of the characters falls prey to a devious trap, and the paladin Aneshk begins to skirt a little close to the dark side. Grab a snack and roll the opener as the Night Below campaign continues. As is our fashion, the action is recreated using the Order of the Stick Monster for Every Season cutout minis. The players: Les as Aneshk, Lawful Good Human Paladin, level 6. Dave as Lee, Lawful Good Human Monk, level 6. Grant as Kindrith, Neutral Good Half-Elven Fighter Cleric of Lathander, level 4/4. Sean as Phallus, Chaotic Good Elven Thief, level 4. Ron as Callus, Chaotic Good Human Ranger, level 4. Claude as Tuck, Lawful Good Human Kensai, level 1. Boris, Lawful Good Human Ranger, Henchman to Aneshk, level 5. The session opens 2 days after the team retreated from the Garlston mines to report and recover. Gripper asks what their next plan of attack is, as the enemy will have also had 2 days to prepare and fortify. Still reeling from the murder of Tirano, the group says their plan is to attack on sight, no quarter. Well, they didn't use those exact words at the table, but it was heavily implied. Spells are prepared, and the team readies for incursion. They leave the mule behind this time, as it would be an awkward task to lower it down that sinkhole, not to mention leaving them vulnerable during the process. They head in, with Aneshk using his ability to detect evil at the location where the Wyvern Watch was previously set, but he finds nothing. Moving through the caves as quickly as possible, they still remain cautious. Phallus scouts the side passage invisibly, but sees nothing. They arrive at the sinkhole without difficulty, and the group examines the supports and beams as best they can to see if they've been tampered with, but they're unable to detect anything amiss. They lower the invisible Phallus down a rope to scout, and at the bottom he sees a wide cave, and a lit lantern on the floor by the cave wall up ahead. Callus quips that it was nice of the enemies to light their way, but nonetheless the group is on alert. Kindrith casts Detect Traps to make sure the ladder is safe, then climbs down, with the rest of the group following one by one. While the brunt of the group are climbing down, Kindrith and Phallus scout ahead. They find no traps, but there are 2 corridors, one forward and one to the left. After waiting for the rest of the team to assemble, they discuss which path to take and decide to move forward. As they advance, several shapes emerge from the darkness. 10 shambling corpses attack. Among the zombies are the 3 men and the halfling they killed the other day. Kindrith reflexively attempts to turn the undead, but as his divine link to Lathander is severed, the attempt yields nothing. After a round of combat in the tight quarters with the zombies, they hear casting from outside of the area of light. Aneshk, Kindrith, and Boris feel the effects of some magic coming upon them and must save. Boris fails his roll and succumbs to a hold person spell, while the other 2 shake off the effects. In the next round, the group continues to battle with zombies. More spells are cast at them. A warhammer flies through the air and vanishes into a puff of energy, while another spell is completed and the group feels lethargic. A curse. Lee attempts to make a fancy flip over the wall of zombies to get close to the casters, but neglects to properly disengage and the zombies tear into him, causing him some injuries. He toughs it through and uses his continual light coin, a gift from Valletta, to reveal 3 more enemies. The warrior from the other day, as well as a priest and priestess, each bearing the marks of the new cult of Ace-Erik. He veers off to a column of stone to take cover from missile fire and further casting. The warrior rushes forth and engages with Lee in battle. Kindrith attempts to cast Command on the warrior, ordering him to undress again, but this time he's out of range and the spell fails. The warrior flips him the bird while making kissy faces to taunt Kindrith. Phallus remains invisible, waiting for an opening to advance and aid Lee. The battle with the zombies rages, and while the team is more than a match for these minor undead, it is still enough to slow them down for a few moments. Callus commands his war dog to attack, but the presence of the undead breaks the dog's morale and it flees. Likewise, the enemy priestess withdraws into the dark after seeing the zombies are facing a losing battle. The enemy warrior deals a heavy blow to Lee, nearly killing him, while the priest uses his spiritual hammer to attack Lee, but misses. After counterattacking, Lee falls to the ground, playing dead. With the zombies thinned out, Phallus advances in his invisible state and maneuvers behind the priest. Surprise is rolled, and Phallus gains 3 bonus segments. He lands but 1 backstab in that time, but a hefty roll of 6 tripled grievously injures the priest, who turns to face this new interloper. After the surprise segments are over, Phallus targets the warrior on Lee, repositioning to strike him from behind, scoring another solid hit. The priest flees. Kindrith pursues. The warrior wheels around and takes a shot at him as he runs by, scoring a blow, but Kindrith shrugs it off and keeps going. The priest is moving far faster than Kindrith, however, and disappears deeper into the cave. Kindrith gives up the chase. The warrior, seeing the zombies gone and his allies in retreat, follows suit. He runs with inhuman speed, overtaking Kindrith, who returns the favor of a parting shot, scoring a hit, but not managing to fell him. The enemy warrior disappears into the tunnel. The team does not immediately pursue, instead regrouping to catch their breath and burning zombie bodies with oil. Callus posits a question about how these priests are able to cast powerful animate dead magic if clerics are depowered with the strange events going on, but none have an answer to that question. Rested up, they push forth, bent on ending this. And just up the way, they come to a small cabin in the corridor. Upon further inspection, find it's an old supply shed created by the original miners. There is a lit lantern hanging off a hook. Inside, they find a corner that has been turned into a rest area with bedding, but the structure is otherwise empty. They proceed onwards. Arriving at a strange, almost psychedelic room with many hues, they pause for a moment to ensure that this strange swirl of colors doesn't have some other effect. There are none, just a strange variation in the mineral colors. There are 2 exits, and the floor is extremely rocky, so going is slower. But on the plus side, the rangers are able to track here, and they see that their quarry has certainly passed this way, heading to the left exit. The group ignores the right-hand passage and cautiously moves through this cave to the corridor beyond. The next cavern is virtually empty, save for a natural-forming depression in the shape of a human ear. Puzzled by the significance of this, they explore around briefly before deciding it's not relevant and moving on. The corridor from the ear cavern leads to a massive cavern, so great that even the light from their continual light tokens can't reach the ends at the same time. Ever alert, as this is an ideal spot for an attack, they press forward, keeping the cavern wall to the right within sight. After crossing the breadth of this grand cavern, they come across another run-down cabin, situated in the center of the area. Phallus scouts forward into the cottage, at which point surprise is rolled, and the warrior rushes out of the darkness with great speed and shuts the door to the cottage. He turns to the team and offers a parley to bargain for the life of their friend. Anesh responds immediately that they don't negotiate with evil and rushes forth to attack. The others follow suit, except Callus, who protests such rash action. Due to his monk's speed, Lee races in ahead of the others. The warrior strikes a blow as he arrives, but with a high attack roll, Lee scores a stun against the warrior, enabling the others to completely butcher him on their own charge attacks. The troublesome warrior finally falls. They quickly learn that the door doesn't open easily, and the hut seems nigh invulnerable to attacks. This is not some ramshackle cabin built by the miners. Even the mighty Anesh is unable to break the door open. Inside, Phallus searches around, finding a chest in a bedroom. There are no traps, and inside the chest is a mountain of coin plus some items. Kindrith climbs the exterior of the cottage to check the roof, hoping to find a trapdoor, or to see if the chimney might be wide enough for a person. Neither proves true. The priest and priestess emerge from behind the hut, calling for a parley, stating that if they don't listen, their friend will die. Once again, the pig-headed goody-goods attack outright, refusing to even listen to what these deceivers could possibly have to say. All except Callus, who attempts to keep a cool head to see what she wants. Tuck, eager to prove himself among these hardened and experienced warriors, charges forward and sets off a magical trap. A wyvern watch. His save fails, and he is paralyzed. Lee rushes forward, but something strange affects his mind as he bears down on the priestess. A failed saving throw means he completely disregards her in favor of the other priest. Anesh and Boris, however, make their saves against the effect of what is obviously a sanctuary spell and attack the priestess, scoring blows. The priest turns to flee, prompting an attack by Lee. A miss. Kindrith, seeing this from the roof of the cabin, does a drop tackle from above, wrestling the priest to the ground. The priestess flees as well, taking some parting blows, but not enough to kill her. She flees through a corridor of the cavern wall, but a stone slab slides into place before the team can follow. Kindrith and Lee bind the priest, while the others try and figure out how to move the slab. The priest, named Imran, laughs at them. even amid punches to the face, telling them that their friend is dead when the magic of the cottage expires. When they demand he open the door, he just tells them that he cannot, and even demonstrates for them the door just won't open. They bind and gag him while trying to decide on a course of action regarding the hut. Inside, Phallus collects all the non-coin loot from the chest, and while the door and windows won't open, the fireplace and chimney are narrow enough to lower a rope, so the team pulls up what gear they can, as well as some of the loot: a gnarled stick, 2 potions, and a scroll case. Tuck suggests that testing the potions might be a Hail Mary, as if one reduces Phallus in size or allows him to turn gaseous, he can escape. Lee tests the first potion, forgetting in the moment that his monkish discipline doesn't allow for him to take potions. Nevertheless, the potion smells and tastes of fish, and upon the merest of sips makes him extremely sick. He doubles over in pain. Kindrith tries the other one, with the same effect. After recovering enough, Lee races out to find Quipper and update him. But en route, a surprise roll indicates that he spots a hidden figure, previously undiscovered. A halfling tucked away in a nook. Lee confronts the halfling, who pleads for his life, protesting that he wasn't with the people in the mine. Well, he was, but they had hired him to scout. He didn't know about their plans to murder and kidnap people, and by the time he learned what they were up to, it was too late to leave. Lee doesn't believe him and presses for information, asking if he knows anything about the fight the other day. The halfling denies having been in any fight. The halfling bargains his freedom for the information he can provide, telling Lee that there's a secret way to the underground passages, as well as telling the monk that if they delve into the underground passages, to keep the cave wall on their left side until they reach the third right junction, then the first left will lead to the Bloodskull Orc lair. But it's at least several days underground. When asked about the cottage, the halfling says that it's some sort of magical cottage that shrinks down on command, but that only the 2 priests of Ace-Erik and the warrior Raymore know the command word. After that, Lee keeps his promise and lets him go, then continues out of the mines to find Quipper. After updating the ranger, they both make their way back into the mines. Meanwhile, out of ideas to open the magical cabin, the devout among the team have tried prayer. Desperate attempts to contact their deities through pleas and focus. Nothing. Searching the area of cavern wall where the priestess escaped, Anesh manages to find the mechanism to open the secret door. A cleverly constructed mechanical secret door meant to look like cave wall. It leads to a passage down into the depths of the earth. He is in the process of looking for a means to open and close it from the other side when Quipper and Lee show up. The team talks about beating some information out of their prisoner, especially after Quipper suggests cutting pieces off of him to make him talk, though Callus is more tempered and reminds them of their vows of mercy, instead trying to reason with the evil cleric. In the face of Lee's information gleaned from the halfling, the cleric finally admits to knowing the command word after all, and they make an agreement. If he gives up the command word to free Phallus, they will let him go through the portal and into the tunnels. He makes them all swear to it, knowing that a paladin will not violate such an oath. Once satisfied, Imran has them all stand back and informs Phallus that he'll have but a moment to escape, as once he says the word, the cottage will shrink and anything inside will be killed. He whispers the command word to allow the door to open, and Phallus leaps out before the hut shrinks down to the size of a model. The priest scoops up the model and begins to leave, but Callus and the others stop him, reminding him that the deal was that he give them the code word. If he reneges, then they aren't bound by their words. Imran then tosses the model cottage down among them, calls out the code word Kazrin, causing the cottage to erupt. While they react to this, he turns and flees down the secret passage, shutting it behind them. Lee informs the rest of the group of the halfling's directions through the underpassages, and Quipper states that they can kill the priest another day. The team uses the code word to shrink the cottage back down again, collects it, then returns to the surface. The session then concludes. Whew, minions! A very near miss for Phallus indeed. I legitimately thought he was a goner when the heroes refused to negotiate or even listen before the extent of the predicament was laid out. This concludes the chapter of the module called The Evil Below the Mines. A somewhat ostentatious title, I suppose. It is the penultimate encounter that sets the stage for the final battle with the Bloodskull Orcs. Of course, the team is meant to defeat Shylek, the priestess that escaped, as she has a somewhat important item on her person that's relevant to the plot. There is a tactics and strategy section for this part as well, but the DM modified this to accommodate the villain's knowledge of the players. Since the previous incursion was played out by the book, but the heroes and villains both had days to plan, it was felt that changing from the printed tactics wasn't uncalled for. The magical cottage, otherwise known as a Leomund's desirable residence, is a part of the treasure trove among the priests, but the idea of weaponizing it is entirely a DM trick, and it's not mentioned in the module as a tactic. But I'm sure Ace-Erik would approve. The zombie ambush was one such change. Tactically, the module suggests that the zombies are held back until the final cavern, but here the change was to have them block the passage while the casters did their thing. A good tactic, as hold person and curses can be devastating, but alas for the villains, a paladin's bonus to save versus evil can easily thwart such things. The box set includes a tactical map for the ambush location, which was used at the table, though I feel it's a superfluous addition to the box set. Sort of a waste, really. Any group that's running Theatre of the Mind won't bother to use such things, except for the visual, which can be easily printed in the normal book for reference, and groups using battle mats or terrain will already have a setup. A similar tactical map is available for the Ranchivus battle at the Broken Spire Keep, and I feel pretty much the same way about it. An unnecessary addition to the box set that serves no real practical purpose. Further, and worse, is the regular play maps the DM needs to refer to the game during gameplay are printed on the reverse of these poster maps, making it a true hassle to use during play. There is unfortunately no backup in the module itself either, so if they get lost or destroyed, you're out of luck. This is a criticism I have of many other modules published in the same era, and someone should seriously be flogged for such an idiotic design choice. Poor Lee entirely forgot about the monk's restriction of not drinking potions. That alone scores a hit to his performance rating, though his play is usually good, so it won't impact him too much. But he drank the fish potion, as did Kindrith. What consequences will come from that, I wonder? Spoilers, minions. And what's with Aneshk suddenly becoming so bloodthirsty? He hasn't violated his paladin strictures yet, but such delicious aggression must certainly be a sign of something. Is that a path to the dark side? I can't wait to see. As Callus noted during the session, these priests have full abilities during the time of troubles. Further, they're worshipping a god that doesn't even exist in the first place. Well, doesn't exist yet, but still. What could the answer to that be? What indeed, minions? What indeed? Obviously I know, but I can't reveal it as it's a major spoiler. Well, sort of a major spoiler, I guess, as the DM here has made some adjustments to suit the needs of the campaign world and timeline, but it has been organically tied into what's going on in Herrenshire, and is most certainly something the players would be smart to think on and consider. And now, minions, with the defeat of Shylock in the mines, she has retreated into the underground tunnels. By the book, they're meant to kill her here, but that just means she's present for the big finale. A little extra juice in the Bloodskull's bag of tricks. The heroes are preparing for it, and we're just 2 episodes away now from the big finale of Book 1, The Evils of Herrenshire. Stay tuned, minions. These next 2 episodes feature twists, turns, a betrayal, and 2 special guests. Yes, indeed, it has been a long journey since Team Evil arrived all those sessions ago, but with Books 2 and 3 still ahead, the Night Below campaign is just getting started. As the wizard loves to say, I shall see you anon.